Yeah, hi Sudhakar. Thanks for inviting me. Qualcomm came for multiple profiles and I got selected in multimedia MMXR systems, multimedia and XR
Okay.
systems.
XR stands for XR means?
Extended reality. It's a
Oh,
gen
okay.
it's
Okay.
a term used for AR, VR, and MR as a group.
Oh, okay. So what were the skills they were looking for while applying for this profile?
So in the job description, they have mentioned like the person should know the candidate should know image processing and video processing basics and computer vision related algorithms, and
Yeah.
they were expecting good knowledge of C or C++ and knowledge of computer architecture basics. These were the preferred
Okay.
skill.
Okay.
Like they mentioned that it's good to have knowledge of video compression algorithms, advanced computer vision
Yeah.
algorithms.
Yeah. So I think since your master's is already in the area of image processing and computer vision, so that would definitely have helped you. Like you were kind of fulfilling all the requirements of that profile.
Yeah, it helped quite.
And as you mentioned that Qualcomm has rolled out quite a few profiles, including this MMXR profile.
Yes.
So you applied only for this profile or you applied for other profiles also of Qualcomm?
I have applied for two profiles, multimedia
Okay.
systems, and one more is ML engineer role. So
Oh,
these two
okay,
were
okay.
kind of fits my areas of interest. So I applied for
Yes,
these two profiles.
yes. Okay, and
There
finally
were
you
other.
got selected for MMXR profile.
Yes.
So Kartik, now we can talk a bit about the recruitment process, which was like held by Qualcomm. Means, can you please tell me the department or the courses? Like department names might be a very long list, but the courses for which this profile was open, like bachelor's, master's, dual, for which courses this profile was open?
Yeah, so this profile was open for masters and PhD students and also dual degree
Okay,
students. So
okay, okay,
of they opened only for computer science and electrical department for these profiles.
okay,
So,
okay.
so dual degree,
Oh, I see.
MTech, MS, and PhD. It's open for these profiles.
Okay. So, like while applying for like when you applied for this job role, so was there any resume short like filtering or CPA cutoff and so on? Or yeah,
It was not
yeah,
mentioned in the job description specifically that they will be doing short resume shortlist. Actually,
okay,
we had a written test for this exam, and everyone who applied got got selected for written test. So I think
okay,
maybe
okay.
they have some low cutoff like 7 CGPA or
Right,
something
right,
like
right.
that.
Very general cutoff. Okay,
Yes.
right, right. Okay. And then maybe after the written test, they might have done some resume filtering and so on. They might have done that to select
Yes.
the students for the interviews. But for the written test, there was no filtering of resume or the CPI. So we can talk a bit about the written test in that case, like what was the syllabus or what were the various sections in that written test of the Qualcomm for this profile, and like as you appeared for ML engineer role also. So was there a combined test for these two, or there were different tests for these two profiles?
So for the system profile,
Yeah.
like there were three sections. We got information that there will be three sections for the test from the
Okay.
Qualcomm itself. They only mentioned about that, and so three sections. First was aptitude, second was computer programming basics of that, basics of computer,
Okay.
and the other third section was profile specific. So if I applied for hardware, I had to take hardware test, or if I applied for ML, I had to take ML test. The
Right.
third section was optional, whichever we want to take, we could have taken that. And for the system
Okay.
profile, which I got selected, multimedia system, so there were communication and ML, like we could have taken anything. So they mentioned for system profile means they came for wireless systems and multimedia system, all these they mentioned communication profile, take the communication exam, and
Okay.
it was
Okay.
open, we
Okay.
could have taken other things also. So Yeah, in the third profile I choose machine learning because that was the area which is closer to which I am working on. So I opted for machine learning in the third section.
So in the third section, you could select only one, right? You could not select more
Yes,
than one.
no,
Okay.
only
So
one.
means aptitude section, then followed by programming based questions, and then the
Yes,
third one is like selective, like based on the profile which you have applied, you can select, and you selected for ML engineering profile.
uh, ML subject, not
Okay,
not
ML
profile.
subject.
So each section was fixed 20 questions and the duration was 30 minutes for each section. We have to write one after another. First section was aptitude and math. Second, yeah, programming basics. And then third
Yeah.
one we had to have total duration of 90 minutes and total 60 questions in
Total
total. Yeah.
total 60 questions. Means
Yes,
20
20.
questions in each of the in each sections. Okay,
Yes.
okay. And it was a single sitting like exam. Like there was no
Yes.
break in the okay single sitting exam. So
Yes.
okay. So how did you prepare for that aptitude thing?
Yeah, we had a weekly aptitude test from our placement team. So I prepared for those sections uh, like every week, and after that I prepared Geeks for Geeks aptitude. Geeks for Geeks have good questions and basics of aptitude, and yeah,
Right,
and
right, right.
some of the gate
Yeah.
aptitude questions I prepared. So yeah, needs
Okay,
aptitude
okay.
needs good. Yeah, aptitude needs good
Practice,
preparation.
good practice. Right, right. So, coming back to the like programming part. So you mentioned that that the next section was the programming part. So how like given that you were already studying in the area of image processing, so you were like familiar with programming, but even though from the placement like perspective, how did you prepare for the programming?
Yeah, programming section had C programming, mainly like error finding, find the output of the C code, and fundamentals of operating systems, and yeah, fundamentals of data structure and algorithms. So these were the subsections in the programming basics section. C programming, we used to uh, read the basics about C programming and the errors, how to find those errors in the code, and yeah, data structure and OS fundamentals I read through Geeks for Geeks
Right.
website
Yeah.
only, and
Yeah.
some YouTube videos related to
Yes.
that, and
So the
basic no,
questions were mainly from the C domain, like they were asking the question from the perspective of C++ only.
yeah, like these error finding and find the output of the code were based on C only, and something related to
Okay, on
algorithms.
C only.
Yeah,
Okay, algorithms. Okay, and then there was some conceptual questions as well, right? Some theoretical questions in the test as well.
correct, correct. Those were based on
Oh,
DSA, like trees, graph,
right, right.
and
Okay, okay,
algorithms.
right, right.
On these topics, theoretical
Okay,
questions.
and all the questions were multiple choice questions with single correct.
Yes, yes, single question,
Okay,
single correct question.
so you don't need to write the code. Like they had only asked the MCQs questions only.
Yes,
Okay,
MCQ.
and
Yeah.
was there any negative marking?
Yes, there was negative marking. So it was mentioned in the instructions that +1 for correct answer and minus
Yeah.
0.25 for the wrong answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
we
so
had
means you
to be,
cannot simply keep on taking the questions. You need to be very sure of your answers.
yeah, correct,
Yeah,
and have to read
yeah. Right.
instructions. It was kind
Yes,
of,
carefully.
yeah.
Yeah. So now coming to the third and the last section of the written test. You appeared for which test? The last test?
ML, ML.
ML. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. And again, there were MCQs question only. The MCQs
yeah.
single choice correct. Okay. So what were the level of questions or the questions? How did you prepare for those things?
So deep learning, it's ML contained like questions from deep learning, machine learning, some basic of image processing.
Oh,
So
okay.
very few questions. Mainly it contained about DL and ML related questions. So
Okay.
I was preparing this machine learning from StatQuest. There's a YouTube channel
All
called
right.
StatQuest.
Right.
Yeah,
Stat quest.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
very good for understanding basics of machine learning. I haven't done any
Oh,
course on machine learning in uh, like as a college a course by uh, college, and I did deep learning course. I had good knowledge of basics of deep learning, and
okay.
yeah, I had prepared from my notes and online materials only for these
Okay.
topics.
Okay. So,
Yes,
was there any questions on like PyTorch, TensorFlow? Was there any questions
not
on these?
not like
Okay.
not it's a theory. These were theoretical questions,
Okay.
not
Theoretical
anything
questions.
related to programming.
Okay. Or any questions on linear algebra like determinant, matrix, and so on? Any questions on linear algebra?
So yeah, program in the programming basics section there was programming basics and math. So
Okay.
it
Okay.
so yeah, basics linear algebra was included in that part, in the
Oh,
in aptitude part. Probability and linear algebra fundamentals were there in that aptitude section, aptitude and math section.
thank you, Kartik. Thank you so much for sharing the insights on the written test. So now we can discuss about the interview part. So I believe that after the written test was conducted, they would have announced the list of students shortlisted for the interview, which happened in December only, right?
Yes.
Now we can talk about the interview, like how many rounds were there and what was the focus of those rounds, the questions and so on. We can talk about those things. So can you please walk us through the interview process?
For the interview, they shortlisted very few people, and
Okay.
yeah, it was based on a test, and it maybe they also checked the resume and
Right.
shortlisted based on the profiles. And
Yes.
so in the interview there were two panels for us, and both are technical. So the in
Okay.
the first, so people will be like assigned one panel each, and yeah, it was I was assigned one panel, and the interviewer asked me about my background, tell me about yourself, this question, and yeah, interviewer asked question on my resume. So yeah, we had
Okay.
to give a resume to them, and they will look resume there. And it was my work. Majority of my work was based on image processing, deep learning, and yeah, some were video processing related. And
Okay.
yeah, interviewer asked, uh, yeah, in the first technical round, the interviewer asked me about my research work, current research work,
Okay. Okay.
and he asked me to explain about my current research work. And yeah, the conversation went for some time, and I was explaining about that, and I was making him understand what was the process in detail. And interviewer asked question more on my research work, something which was not clear. And yeah, it went on for 10 minutes about my research work. And after that, like, he asked me if I have taken a DSP course in my masters.
Okay.
I I
Signal
I
processing.
had,
Signal
yes,
processing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
had taken digital signal processing course in my first semester. And the interviewer asked me questions on signal processing, like basic signal processing questions, like for say
Okay.
uh, difference between FFT and DFT, and sampling theorem, and few other basics signal
Okay.
processing questions, and something
Okay.
related to Fourier transform. After that, he asked question on C programming, like he asked me to
Okay.
write a program of string reversal and basic uh, C basic questions he asked me to write a pseudo code or a basic code of function for the
Okay.
for for the given problem. These were the main things he interviewer asked in the first technical round.
In the first technical part. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So as you so it was around half an hour or more than
Yeah,
that?
it took around 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Okay. So I
Yeah.
think they were mainly impressed by the projects which you had on your resume. So they wanted to discuss the projects more in detail, in fact. So it was a face-to-face interview, means in-person interview, or it was online?
Yes, it was in-person interview.
Okay, in-person interview. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, so yeah, then it is more difficult as in you have to, wear the formal attire, then go to some venue and be ready for that, Yeah, I can understand that. Okay. And so then once you after that round, you had your round two of technical interview again.
Actually, there was a shortlist for round two
Oh,
as well. After
okay.
everyone had round one, and it was they took some time for selecting
Okay.
for second round.
Okay. Means only those who cracked the first round, they were allowed to appear for the second round.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we can talk about the next round, the technical next round. Yeah.
Yeah. In the second technical round, uh, similar. The interviewer checked my resume, and yeah, he asked question, write a program about finding power x power n or some
Okay.
basics,
Okay.
simple questions. Write a function in C, or
Okay.
there were some two to three. He asked two to three programming question, like write a syntax, write a pseudocode, or if I know C programming, like he asked me to write in C. Otherwise,
Okay.
yeah, it was asked me to write pseudocode for the
Okay.
programming questions.
Yes.
So yeah, two to three questions he asked to me to write that, and yeah, after that, yeah, he asked if I am comfortable with C programming. I
Okay.
I was I said I know the basics of C programming, but in my research in my masters, I haven't. I am not using C. I am using Python. So we
Right.
work on Python only mainly. So
Yes.
so I mentioned that, and he was okay with it, and he asked few questions on C, such as struct versus union difference,
Yeah. Okay.
and and some other question like NDNS, about NDNS, which I was
Yes.
not sure about that, and I mentioned that,
Yeah.
and, and other C programming, I mentioned like that, about C questions,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, he asked about embedded, because the profile requires implementation of video codec on hardware.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, video codec algorithms, video compression algorithms on hardware. So it requires knowledge of C and embedded systems. I did embedded. I worked on some hardware project in my UG. I
Okay.
mentioned that. So yeah, the interviewer asked about embedded. If I know embedded, yeah, I mentioned like this. I did course in my UG, and I worked on hardware in my UG, not in my masters.
Masters. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after this, yeah, same. The looked at my resume, and he asked questions on basics of image processing,
Okay.
uh, such as, so what happens when you pass a image on with low pass filter.
Okay.
The-
Okay.
these questions, and question on video compression. Next, the interview went on video processing related, if I know video processing, and I was comfortable with it, and the description also mentioned that knowledge of video processing, and I had prepared for that, and I knew how video compression works, and
Yeah.
interviewer asked me to explain how the video processing works.
Yeah.
There will be compression in the temporal domain, and also will be in the
Okay.
spatial domain. and he asked
Okay.
me to explain in details how those works.
Okay.
And yeah, and I explained, and it went like a conversation. Interview
Yeah.
was asking me questions, some questions on like what if something else happens,
Yeah.
and and I was not able to give the right exact answer, but I was my approach was correct, and he gave some hint, and
Right.
after few hints, then I was able to answer.
Yeah.
He, and something related to a job profile only. So
Yes.
I had that I knew that well, so that thing went well. So mainly those were related to job description, what they were looking for.
Right. 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 Yeah. So I think since this profile was also about embedded, so they were mainly checking the C programming because normally
Yes,
people talk about C++, but they were keen to know about C programming. So I think since it was about embedded, so in embedded, I think we use C mainly.
correct.
Yeah. Right, right. And since you have done your masters in like you are doing your masters in image processing, and so those questions on video processing and those things like you could answer those questions. And I
Yes,
think in interview it happens that the interviewer, adds some parameters or they modify some parameter, and then they expect like how will your system or any algorithm behave now. So
yes, yes.
yeah, they and
That
that
happens.
helps them to understand like the how much you are clear with the concepts, the concept clarity. Yeah, and you really did well. So I think this round also continued for about half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yes, it continued for half an hour. Yes,
Yeah. So I think they like the programming, the C programming, and your resume, the projects which you had mentioned in your resume in the area of image processing and video processing, and like the signal processing. These concepts they wanted to check whether the candidate
yes.
knows all these things or not. Okay.
Yeah, they were also
Yeah.
looking for coursework if I have done relevant courses. And
Okay.
in my masters, I did course on linear algebra,
Yeah.
probability, digital signal processing, image signal processing, and
Okay.
deep learning. So
Right.
yeah, that also help me to like help them to understand that I'm working on this field, and
Right.
I have some knowledge of this.
Yeah. So after the two technical rounds, what were the other rounds of the interview?
Yeah, after technical, I got call for HR after some time.
Okay. Yeah.
So in the HR round, uh, I was asked question about like the job location was either Hyderabad or Bangalore. So I was asked if I'm ready to move to other location
Okay.
like Hyderabad. So I mentioned
Okay.
I am ready because I'm looking for job profile which I'm interested in. So I said I am ready to move. And the HR asked about uh, like a generic question like where I stay and about my background, schooling and all, and about my family background,
Okay. Okay.
and yeah, and why are you interested in the profile? I mean,
Okay.
what made you interested in the profile?
Yeah.
Yeah, these HR asked these question, and it was over in 5-10 minutes. HR on
Okay.
got
5-10 minutes. Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
some
it.
basic standard HR questions they asked. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think yeah, it's always helpful to read a bit about the company. The what does the company do so that you can relate your interest with them. Like why do you want to join that company? So if you know a bit
yes,
about that company, that really helps. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, so Karthik, then I think we have discussed about the entire recruitment process of Qualcomm, and I'm happy that you got the offer. Your hard work finally paid off, and
Yes, sir.
I remember that you wanted to get into Qualcomm, and finally you got an offer from Qualcomm. So yeah,
It's a good
like
company and working
definitely,
related to
definitely,
our field. I mean, something
definitely,
close to my
definitely.
area of research. So
Right, 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 right. Yeah, in your master's, you have spent more than 2 years on these fields only. So, of course, you will enjoy working in this profile at Qualcomm. So, yeah, yeah. So, I have one last question for you that normally like in this era of artificial intelligence and so on, like people want to get into image processing, video processing, signal processing, machine learning, deep learning, and so on. So, and you like you did your bachelor's in electronics, electrical, and then you are now in the area of image processing and so on. So how should one, work, or how should one plan so that they can get into the roles like you, which you have been offered? How should they plan actually?
Yeah. So yeah, the role of it is kind of uh, towards signal processing and video processing related. And yeah,
Yeah.
my master's work is related to deep learning computer vision. Uh,
Yeah.
Even though I am working in deep learning related uh, areas like uh, no, my work is on vision language multimodal research, and I had interest towards image processing from my UG and computer vision. That's why I pursued my masters in the similar domain.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, these nowadays most of the research work are related to deep learning, because deep learning models will surpass traditional approaches
Approaches.
for
Yes.
most of the tasks. But yeah, knowledge of basics is always helpful, because in
Yes.
hard in when you want to implement some deep learning algorithm on hardware, it will be very difficult because of
Right.
model size and the
Yes.
computation and the time it will take to
Yes.
uh, process. So these are difficult when you apply deep learning models. So the companies yeah working on these also, and as well as implementing traditional algorithms like traditional video compression approach on the hardware. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had interest in image processing and signal processing. Yeah,
Right.
that also helped me to get
Yes.
knowledge
Yes.
of video processing,
Definitely.
and
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
those help me. And yeah, one should uh, have good understanding. So signal processing is helpful in uh, all all areas, like even if it's machine learning, even if it's a
Yeah.
traditional approach.
Right.
Knowledge of
Right.
signal processing, linear algebra, probability,
Right.
these things are good to have, so that if the companies will look how good you are at your basics. If you know
Yeah.
basics, uh, the
Yes.
difficult
Yes.
things can be easily learned.
True. True. Very true. Very. Yeah, that's why basics first. And once you are done with your basics, then of course you can build the complex concepts on the foundation of the basics. So we
Yes.
should always focus on the basics, or the clarity of the concepts, how like the concept should be very, very clear. Thank you so much, Kartik. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and sharing the insights into the Qualcomm recruitment process for multimedia systems profiles. And yeah, I hope that your experience and this journey will help others to learn about these profiles and how they can get into these roles. So definitely your experience would be helpful for the upcoming students, those who are keen to join these profiles or similar profiles. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Sudhakar, for having me. It was great time talking to you.